Right, second page, question 3. A class test scores on the recent English essay are below. So we have been asked to construct a frequency table given the data that we have been given. Luckily enough for us that we've been given the table, so we just have to fill it in. So I'm just going to go through, and how many between 0 and 20? 1, 4, 5, 5, and 3. All right. So now we're going to try and find the total number that we've added up. Well, that is just going to be equal to 18. So remember that our total number of data is 18. The percentage now, well, that's just going to be 1 divided by 18 times by 100. The frequency divided by 18 times by 100 won't always be 1. So it's 5.5% here. It's 22.2% there. 27.7% here. 27.7% again. And then 16.6%. I know I've gone through that pretty quickly, but I feel it's pretty trivial, where it's just filling in the intervals and then percentage is just the frequency number that we've got here divided by your 18, because that's your total number of data points. So now we're asked to construct a frequency histogram table for the data, and I'm just going to zoom out so I can see all my table. Okay, so let's draw a frequency histogram data. Remember, there are 3 elements to a frequency histogram. That the columns touch immediately after each other. You've got the frequency on one side and the percentage on the other. And I want this to be exactly 0, so there we go. And let's start drawing my lines. So 1, 2, about there. And then draw this one. Close enough. I'm sorry that they're not touching on that side. Please forgive me for those of you who are OCD about these things. And then we'll just go up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll just fill out those appropriate percentages for each number. So this is 5.5%. This is, what will that be? That'll just be 11%. 5.5 times by 2. 3 is 16.6%. 4 is 22.2%. And then 5 was that 27.7%. Now remember, you always have to label our axes. So, well, not our axes, but label. So this is going to be the frequency. And this is the percentage. All right. So now we've drawn our graph. Now let's try and separate them into columns. So you know we're going to have 5 different columns. So 1, 2, 2, 3. Oh, so close to it all being even. So this is going to be 0. That's going to be 20. 20 because my 20 is there. Next one is 40, 60, 80, 100. Now I can draw my columns. So my first one, the interval between 0 and 20 is just 1. So that's just going to go there at 1. Now my next column has to touch my column that was previous. They have to immediately start after each other. So that's 0. The amount that's in 20 to 40, well, that's 4. Actually, I'm going to color code these. I'm going to use different colors to show you guys. Then I'm going to go orange for this next one. That should be 4. Let's go all the way to the top here, across, and down. And so that is that interval there. For the next one, 40 to 60, we have 5, so we're going up 1 and then back down. You see that my columns are all touching each other because that's what they have to do in a histogram. They all have to touch. Then 60 to 80, that's 5 again, so that's lucky for us. You just make that straight line. And then lastly, everything that's above 80, well, we've got 3. All right? And that is your frequency histogram. Again, all the columns are touching. You have the frequency on this left-hand side. You have the percentage on that right-hand side, and the intervals at the bottom. That would be a full mark histogram. Comment on the skewness of the data. All right, the skewness of the data. We remember that we either have positively skewed, negatively skewed, or symmetrical. And you see that it's more towards that right-hand side. There's more data towards here than here. So I would say it's slightly negatively skewed. Slightly negatively skewed. It's fairly symmetrical, but you can see there is that data on that tail end on that right-hand side, so it is a slight negative skew.